Hey everybody, welcome to DadsDen of Pop Culture and Mighty Thor Monday with Thor number 358 from August of 1985 as we roll through a year of Walt Simonson's run on the Mighty Thor. This episode is called When Dalliance Was in Flower, or Take the Cash and Let the Credit Go, which is taken from The Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. Art and story are by Walter Simonson, lettering John Workman Jr., coloring Christy Scheel, editing Ralph Macchio, editor-in-chief Jim Shooter. We are in Asgard, home of the Norse gods. Picking up where we left off last time, Lorelei has entered the chambers of Thor. She has dashed this bottle containing these mists on the ground. They're manipulating his mind. She says, "Before the night is out, mighty Thor, we shall have no secrets between us. Call me by my true name. Call me Lorelei." So that secret is out. And nice sequence here on this page. The way he's falling sort of under her spell. You see the, interposing the mists between them. But also the way the word bubbles are done. That what it relayed to me was like Thor hearing these things echoing in his mind as these images are kind of floating through, like he's not completely in control, which of course he wasn't. And then by the end, she says, "Do I not please thee? You are desirable beyond words. Then I am yours, and you are mine." So Thor falling under the spell of Lorelei. Back in New York, World Trade Center again, kind of takes you back. Beta Ray Bill returns to the World Trade Center where Sif is waiting for him. Couldn't find those guys in the gold armor that he had fought, and we get a little bit of Sif. She's getting ready to make some decisions. She's realizing that mortals have so little time that they really have to sort of live life while they have the chance. "The longer I am on earth, the more certain I am that I have yet to drink fully from life's cup, regardless of the years I have already lived." So she's learning from us mortals about things. Here are our bad guys. They are the GLF, apparently. We'll find out what that means later on. And somebody's leading them from this video screen. And again, if you're an old Marvelite, you could probably figure out exactly who it is. But they all have this high-tech armor. And they're planning to attack the this big federal bank. And they're a little worried about that. It might cause damage to the economy. He's like, no. Won't do that. Don't worry. It's just going to screw up their computer records. The economy will be fine, etc. But of course, if you know who that guy is, then you know that's probably not the case. And here they actually do reveal it. It is the Titanium Man. Now, that was a Soviet super soldier. I don't know if he was ever really heroic per se, talking to his superiors. Now, this dude here, and here, and here, has designed all of this technical equipment for them. And they're controlling him because they have his parents back in the Soviet Union. And Titanium Man is finding out that they have died. Supposedly through no fault of the Soviets. Maybe not. Who knows? Now remember, this is 1985. We are still in the Cold War. But what they don't know is that he has unleashed, and we saw this last issue, these little cockroaches through the complex. And they are, in fact, mechanical, and they are bugs. And he now knows. He knows that his parents are dead. They have no control over him anymore. And he has a better idea of what they're planning. We get a few moments here in Central Park between American soldiers and the Asgardians. American soldier is letting Hurricane look at his M16. That will come into this later on. And if you are a fan of Thor, if you're a fan of the Thor Ragnarok movie. You might know how this comes into play later on. Lorelei is here with Thor. He is under her control, and this is when she first slips in the idea that perhaps Loki should be king of Asgard. But no matter how much under her control he is, no. I can't go for that. No can do. He says no. So she's like, fine, I'll leave you in here to breathe these vapors longer. Eventually, you will give in. And she commands him to remain where he is. So back at that bank, here's the guy. Here's those cards that turn into, or seemingly turn into, the men in the gold armor. They're going after this gold reserve. They set up this device that's going to wipe all of these economic records. And what we find out earlier with Titanium Man is that it will also burn out every computer that is tied into them. So the entire computer network of American business may be destroyed with that one single swoop, which is part of the plan because they're trying to disrupt the economy. So they storm out of there and feeling pretty strong. And Katwang here, Stormbringer, hits the guy. Beta Ray Bill used the hammer to track their energies. He knew they were there. He attacks. And that's when their leader finally shows up. Gold armor, looks huge, looks like a giant, and he's going to take on Beta Ray Bill. But what happens as he's fighting them is that he starts throwing in some stuff about, the evils of capitalism and things like that. And that's not going to work ultimately to his advantage. Nice little scene here. The Warriors 3 are basically lost. They can't find Central Park. They end up in this little dive bar. Some dudes are making fun of Volstagg. Volstagg's solution, rather than going right into battle with them, which frankly, even though he's maybe a little bit of a coward at heart, he could easily take them out. Instead, throws some gold at the bartender, gets an armful of beers, walks on over, and he says, "Hey, let's chat. We have much to discuss, you and I. The time has come," the walrus said, "to talk of many things, of shoes and ships, and sealing wax, and Goodyear blimps, and things. I have always thought Lewis Carroll was an excellent poet, haven't you?" Goodyear blimp, of course, is what they called him. That was a common term for hefty people once upon a time. I don't really hear it that much anymore. Well, we get the battle here. Beta Ray Bill and the Titanium Man in disguise. And again, these guys are like lackey of capitalism. I don't remember condemning the system. I thought we were just going to redistribute the wealth a little bit. Sure, the Green Liberation Front strikes for truth, justice, and a few bucks. So we have thieves, but maybe patriotic thieves, because we've also learned that they are Vietnam veterans. And they're angry at the way they were treated in this country, and a lot of vets certainly had a reason to be. Well, this dude here, here's our guy who's invented everything. Now he makes his move, because he knows that he's been lied to, manipulated, etc. Hits a button, and it destroys the illusion screen, so you can see that it is, in fact, the Titanium Man that Beta Ray Bill is fighting. And the guys are like, whoa, who is that dude? Well, they tap in, remember last time? They tap into their database that's in their armor. Titanium Man, Boris Bulsky, Soviet citizen, Communist Party member, known to have a personal vendetta against Iron Man, fought and defeated by Iron Man several times, yada, yada, yada. This Sidewinder is a Russian. Captain, I didn't fight in Nam for 3 years to help some commie shaft my own country. And then we get the little patriotic thing. We may be thieves, robbers, and criminals, but by heaven, we're American thieves, robbers, and criminals. Kind of reminiscent of that bit in The Rocketeer when the gangster is like, hey, I ain't working for no Nazis. I may not earn my money in a legitimate way, but I'm an American. So they attack. And really, Beta Ray Bill is able to sort of step back because their armor is so well designed that the Titanium Man can't stand against all of them. So he flees the fight using this high-tech stuff that dude invented. I wonder if that will ultimately be a problem for him. Just maybe. So those guys, they got to be dealt with too. And Beta Ray Bill now has their command module, and he says, because that dude's told him everything. He says, in 5 minutes, I'm pressing this button, and you're going to be turned into those gold cards, and that's it. You're going to be stuck. So why don't you go somewhere and get out of that armor so that doesn't happen to you? And they agree that that's probably a pretty good idea. And maybe they need to rethink a few things. I think that's supposed to be Ed Koch, Mayor of New York. That's the feeling I got. Now, this is something important to Marvel Comics, not really necessarily to Thor. As they go, looks like everything's wrapped up. The streets are going to be safer for a while. And we hear this dude here, right? Just keep dreaming, bud, because Megatach's back and about to hit town again. Out of my way, Gramps. There's this old guy there. The old guy pulls a gun and shoots him. And he says, justice is served. Who is that guy? Well, that's going to be an ongoing thing in Marvel Comics at the time. And I won't get into it here, because maybe it's something you should explore yourself. I will tell you one thing. It ain't the Punisher. So just a moment there to set up something that was going on in a lot of Marvel Comics at the time. It wasn't necessarily like a big crossover event, but it would ultimately come down, I want to say, it was ultimately a Captain America story. So clean up, wrap up time, and Sif says to Beta Ray Bill, their lifespan is so short that they have learned to think and act in a single instant. And I have learned much from them in our few days here, Bill, more than I can say. Our own time now grows short till you must return to your waiting people, and I to Asgard and Thor. So let us not count the minutes till we must part, but spend them recklessly like mortals, as though we had all the time in the world. And so they go watch TV. No. And we see this dude who had been so badly treated by the Titanium Man returning to base. And this is the Titanium Man. The way he was able to teleport out of there was by going back to this machine in the form of a card. Now, in a certain amount of time, he is going to reintegrate as the Titanium Man. At least he would if he was left right there. He removes him. He rips the card in half, throws it away, kind of misses the trash there, which is littering and a crime. Perhaps my parents will sleep a little more soundly wherever they lie. Is that the end of the Titanium Man? Could be. Lorelei flies back to Loki's castle on a giant crane. I love that. That's great. And she's kind of plotting and planning herself here, Loki had better behave himself, for if I become queen of Asgard, I may this, I may that, I may the other. And she stands before Loki, and we get this zip, zip, zip. What is this? What is this little mystical energy? Well, do you remember? The Enchantress wanted a little revenge. She did something to that scepter that Loki touched. Lorelei, are you quite well? I do feel strange suddenly. Never mind that. What about Thor? Loki's always right down to business. And now, okay, you remember? Let's go back a little bit. See this page? Lorelei with Thor falling under her spell. We have essentially duplicated it, but now Lorelei is falling under a spell herself towards Loki. Do I not please thee? That depends on what you have to tell me about Thor. Lorelei, what do you think you're doing? I always get what I want, Loki. Lorelei, and what I want most of all, Lorelei, is you. Wow. Love among the villains. And we finally, we finish this up with Heimdall visiting Thor. He has discovered that the dungeons have been breached during the fight with Surtur. Malekith has escaped. And he's like, Thor, are you listening? She is right, Heimdall. I can see clearly now, perhaps for the first time in my life, my lord. I am finally resolved on the course of action I must take, and I will assist my stepbrother, whatever the cost. The throne of Asgard must be Loki's. Ooh, next, the Grand Alliance. So, also this, I don't know this. The Raven Banner, A Tale of Asgard, by Alan Zelenetz, illustrated by Charles Vess. Vess is awesome. It's kind of slipped through my knowledge of Marvel Comics. Now I'm thinking maybe I need to go look for it. In fact, I don't know, I might run short of comic books in this series by the end of the year. Maybe that would be a good one to fill up a gap. The Mighty Thor 358. So where are we at now in the Simonson run? We have the first epic storyline dealt with. That is the battle against Surtur and the loss of Odin. And we've been going through the repercussions. Now we're starting to ramp up back up into storylines. So we get a sort of villain of the month thing going with the Titanium Man, right? Something to fill in, provide a little bit of action, because if you're going to have a lot of expository stuff, a lot of talking, you need to balance it with some action. So that's the action. Although we do get some stuff with Beta Ray Bill and Sif and some decisions that she is going to be making in the near future about her future. We're also starting to ramp up the next storylines that are going to lead to a big epic thing. Little pieces of that. The Asgardians looking at those, military rifles. That's a little drip. That's going to be revisited later on. We have Thor falling under the spell of Lorelei. Lorelei falling under the Enchantress's spell and becoming, enraptured with Loki, which is not exactly in his plans, but he does want to use her. So control over her is not necessarily against his plans. But, there could be some jealousy involved in there, right? It may not work to his advantage. So we have that going because we're going to be building up to a whole thing about the throne of Asgard. Who is going to sit on that throne? That's a big decision that has to be made with the disappearance of Odin. So we're setting those up. Malekith has escaped. That's going to have to be addressed as well. So what we're doing here at this point, just like he did when he started with the Thor series, he's setting up storylines. He's weaving the little tapestry together that's going to lead to something bigger. So he does such a nice job with that stuff. I'm a real fan. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed these little retrospectives of Walt Simonson's Thor run, please give it a like, maybe subscribe, maybe share with a friend. That'd be very cool. But until next time, God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Have a little bit of fun out there. And I will hopefully see you again soon in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Bye-bye.